हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय प्रभु परा जय प्रभु परा प्रभु परा जय प्रभु परा। निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गौर हरि बोल। प्रभुपाद की हरिनाम संकीर्तन की अंतराष्ट्रीय श्रीमद् भागवतम की प्रेमानंदे। Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 15th chapter, Description of the Kingdom of God. Text 23. Please repeat after me. Yat na प्रजन्ति अघभीदः रचना अनुवादात् शृण्वन्ति ये अन्य विषया कुकथा मतिघ्नि या तु श्रुतः हतवघै नृभि अत्त सारः तान् तान् क्षिपन्ति अशरणेषु तमसु हन्त यन्न व्रजन्ति अघविदरचनानुवादात् शृण्वन्ति येन विषया कुकथामतिघ्नि यस्तु श्रुता हतभगैर्नृभिरत्तसारास् त्वंस्तान् क्षिपन्ति अशरणेषु तमसु हन्त यन्न व्रजन्ति अघविदो रचनानुवादात् शृण्वन्ति ये अन्यविषया कुकथामतिघ्नि यस्तु श्रुता हतभगैर्नृभिरात्तसारात् त्वंस्तान् क्षिपन्ति अशरणेषु तमसु हन्त यन्न व्रजन्ति अघविधो रचनानुवादात् शृण्वन्ति ये अन्यविषयाः कुकतामतिग्ने यस्तु श्रुता हतभगैर्निभिरात्तसाराः स्तां क्षिपन्ति अशरणे सुतमः सुहन्ता Mataji's. And to say? Very good. Word meaning, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayo Mudire. What word meaning? Yat Vaikuntha Na never Brajanti approach Agha Bhidaha of the vanquisher of all kinds of sins. Rachana of the creation. Anubadad then narrations. Shrinvanti hear. Ye those who. Anya adar. Vishayaha subject matter. Kukatha bad works. Matighni killing intelligence. Ya which. Tu but. Shrutaha are heard. Hata bhagai unfortunate. Nribhi by men. Atta taken away. Saraha values of life. Tantan such persons. Shipanti are thrown. Asaraneshu devoid of all shelter. Tamasu in the darkest part of material existence. Hanta alas. Translation. It is very much regrettable that unfortunate people do not discuss the description of the Vaikuntha planets, but engage in topics which are unworthy to hear and which bewilder one's intelligence. Those who give up the topics of Vaikuntha and take to talk of the material world are thrown into the darkest region of ignorance. Please repeat after me. It is very much regrettable that unfortunate people do not discuss the description of the Vaikuntha planets, but engage in topics which are unworthy to hear and which bewilder one's intelligence. Those who give up the topics of Vaikuntha and take to talk of the material world are thrown into the darkest region of ignorance. Purport. The most unfortunate persons are the impersonalists who cannot understand the transcendental variegatedness of the spiritual world. They are afraid to talk about the beauty of the Vaikuntha planets because they think that variegatedness must be material. Such impersonalists think that the spiritual world is completely void, or in other words, that there is no variegatedness. This mentality is described here as kukatha, matighni, intelligence bewildered by unworthy words. The philosophies of voidness and of the impersonal situation of the spiritual world are condemned here because they bewilder one's intelligence. How can the impersonalist and the void philosopher think of this material world, which is full of variegatedness, and then say that there is no variegatedness in this material world, in this spiritual world. It is said that this material world is the perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So, unless there is variegatedness in the spiritual world, how can there be temporary variegatedness in this material world? That one can transcend this material world does not imply that there is no transcendental variegatedness. Here in Srimad Bhagavatam, in this verse particularly, it is stressed that people who try to discuss and understand the real spiritual nature of the spiritual sky and the Vaikunthas are fortunate. The variegatedness of the Vaikuntha planets is described in relation to the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. But instead of trying to understand the spiritual abode and the spiritual activities of the Lord, people are more interested in politics and economic developments. They hold many conventions, meetings, and discussions to solve the problems of this worldly situation, where they can remain for only a few years. But they are not interested in understanding the spiritual situation of the Vaikuntha world. If they are at all fortunate, they become interested in going back home, back to Godhead. But unless they understand the spiritual world, they rot in this material darkness continuously. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmelitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschat Deshatarine Pancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktarvinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. It's my pleasure and I am extremely honored to be here, Radha Gopinath Temple, Sydney, the lotus feet of Radha Gopinath. I came here a couple of years back. Very happy to see all these wonderful ecstatic devotees. Hare Krishna. So, we're discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 15th chapter. Very important chapter of 3rd canto. That is description of the kingdom of God. Prabhupada says in the beginning of this chapter, this chapter should attract the conditioned souls of this material world. This is the real descriptions of the spiritual world, and given by 4 Kumaras, Sanak, Sanatan, Sanandan and Sanat Kumar. And when they went to spiritual world, they personally saw the beautiful scenario of Vaikuntha planets, and they explained to Brahma, and Brahma is explaining here. So after giving the descriptions of Vaikuntha planet, which is so attractive and captivating, Brahma here is saying that Yanna Brajanti Aghavido Rachana Anubadach. So Rachana Anubadat. Anubad means narration or description, and Rachana means in creation. So Shrinnanti Ye Anya Vishaya Kukatha Matikina. So Brahma is quite surprised why people of this material world, they do not discuss the description of Vaikuntha planets, which is very attractive. Rather, people in this material world, they are engaged in Kukatha Matigni. Kukatha. Katha means topic and Kukatha means bad topics or mundane topics. And these mundane topics here is described as Matigni. Matigni means, Mati means intelligence and Gni means, killing. So if we discuss mundane topic, that will kill our intelligence. And that's what Prabhupada says in the purport. The people, they are becoming less intellectual because they are discussing mundane topic. So in 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we find similar verse. Parikshit Maharaj was telling Shukadev Goswami that Nibritta Tarsvair Upagiyamanat Bhavo Sudat Strotra Manobhiramat Ka Uttama Shloka Gunanavadat Bina Puman Birajit Bina Pashugnad. He says Nibritta Tarsvair Upagiyamanat. The great sages who have completely cut the material desires, who were 100% free from material desires, any kind of material desires. Nibritta tarsur upagiyamanat bhavo sudat strotra mano abhinamat. So they also says the hearing the topic about Krishna, or as Prabhupada says, hearing the description of the Vaikuntha planets is the real medicine for our ears. So Kapil Dev also says, So therefore, Prabhupada is saying those who are not, interested to hear about Vaikuntha or Krishna, they are most unfortunate people in this material world. Yasyam vai shruyamanayam Krishna parama purushe. Simply by hearing about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Jasyam vai shruyamanayam Krishna parama purushe bhaktir utpadyate pumsham. The desire to render devotional service, develops in our heart, and shoka moha bhayapaha. And from our life, these three things, goes away. Shok, moha, and bhaya. Shok means lamentation, and moha means attachment, and bhaya means fear. So, he's saying simply by hearing about Krishna, simply by hearing topic related to Krishna, the three problems of our life will be solved. So, shok, lamentation. Everyone in this material world will lament for what? For past, whatever has happened with us. And moha, the attachment for present moment, whatever we have at this moment with us, we want to hold everything. Deep attachment. And then fear, bhai, is for future. So past, present and future. So we have three problems in our life. What is the problem for past? Lamentation. We always, lament, wish, that would happen with me like this, I could have do that, this. So that is, we always lament for thinking about past. Simply by hearing about Krishna, the problem of past will go away. In the present, we have deep attachment for whatever we have, our family, relatives, wealth, whatever we have. That attachment will go away simply by hearing. And for future, what will happen if fourth wave of COVID comes? So he's saying, shoka moha bhayapaha. So, shok, lamentation, and attachment, and fear, past, present, future, all the problem will be solved simply by yasam vai shruyamanayam Krishna parama purusha. If we listen Krishna katha, we have the example Parikshit Maharaj. See, Parikshit Maharaj, he was hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadev Goswami for 7 days and 7 nights. And Parikshit Maharaj, he was cursed because he could not find drinking water. Now, almost after completing 9th canto, Shukadev Goswami says, Parikshit, for last couple of days you have been hearing, are you not thirsty? Do you need water? Parikshit Maharaj said, no, my dear Shukadev Goswami, I don't need water. I know what happened because of water. So, I don't need water. I am not feeling thirsty. I am not hungry. I am so satisfied because I am hearing from you. It's so powerful. Simply by hearing Krishna Katha, we forget everything. There is a, there is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam which says, if someone, simply hears Srimad Bhagavatam, he will lose interest for anything material. Sarva Vedanta Swaram hi Srimad Bhagavatam ishyate tat rasamrita triptasya na anyat sadarati kashyat. This is the essence of all Vedic scriptures. And tat rasamrita triptasya, anyone who has, drink the nectarine mellows of Srimad Bhagavatam, na anyat sad rati kashit. He will lose taste for anything of this material world. That's why, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he used to listen Srimad Bhagavatam every single day. Srimad Bhagavatam yad Vaishnavanam priyam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in Jagannath Puri, every single day before going to the ocean, before taking bath, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would visit Tota Gopinath temple, and Gadadhar Pandit used to reside there. So every single day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go, and he would listen Srimad Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit. And he says, at least 100 times Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard Srimad Bhagavatam. Same topic from Gadadhar Pandit. And specifically Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would listen from 7th canto and from 4th canto. Dhruva Maharaj's first time and Prahlad Maharaj's first time. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would take inspiration from the character of Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj. These two boys, they're so little. At this age, they are so sincere. 4 years, another one is 5 years old boy. And we are in 40, 50 years, we are not still sincere. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, every single day, and he used to listen Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's why hearing is, most, important. You see, out of, the human organ, we have many limbs in our body, but the most effective organ is hearing. Most effective sense is, hearing sense. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote, Karna Randhra Pathodiya Ridhi Maji Praveshya. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote, this hearing sense is so powerful, it has a small hole. But if the topic related to Krishna or the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, it enters into that hole, that can purify our heart. It's so powerful, this sense, isn't it? And therefore, even in the womb of mother also, when baby develops body in the womb of mother, the first sense is developed, that is, hearing sense. It's so active, so effective. Even, say for example, you are sleeping, and someone may, bring some flower and, keep in front of your nose. You may not feel that. But if someone says, Prabhu, Mahaprasad is ready, you'll immediately come, because hearing sense is so active, So most powerful sense, most powerful, indriya is hearing sense, So that's why we should engage that in the service of Krishna, So in Srimad Bhagavatam in the beginning, therefore it says, like exactly same words. It says they are unfortunate, those who don't take interest in hearing Krishna Katha, So it says that Swabid Varaha Ustra Samstuta Japurusha Pashu Najat Karna Pathopata Yatu Nama Gadagraja. So the sages of Namisharana, they said, the Swab bid Varaha Ustra. The Prabhupada in this verse is saying unfortunate people. Who are unfortunate people? So the sages of Namisharana, they are saying the 4 types of people, whose 4 types of animals, or 4 types of people whose natures are like these 4 animals. Swa means dog. Bid Varaha. Bid Varaha means hog. And especially Bid Varaha means villages, hog from villages. Swa Bid Varaha Ustra. Ustra means oat, camel. Swa Bid Varaha Ustra Kharoi. Kharo means donkey. Swa Bid Varaha Ustra Kharoi Samstuta Purusha Pashu. So these people whose mentality are like these 4 animals, they never appreciate Krishna Katha. They never try to listen Krishna Katha. And if we analyze this, Prabhupada explained in the 4th, Shwa means dog. They will not appreciate good things, They will stand in front of your house, outside of your door. They will bark for little food, little bread. Whole day and night they will stand there, So they are very loyal to their master. But they don't appreciate other people. That's why people whose mentality like dog, they never appreciate Krishna or Krishna Katha. Swa Bid Varaha. And the Bid Varaha means hogs. So hogs, they appreciate whom? Those who lives those who lives in, dirty area, those who passes stools and urine everywhere. So for the hogs, they are very good people. Those who lives in civilized society, hogs don't like them, because they don't get food. Similarly, ustra, camel. Camel is one of the less intelligent animal. Camel, especially in desert place, you can see camel, they eat the thorns of the tree because there are no leaves, After finishing all the leaves, they start to eat thorns of the trees. And they cut their, tongue, and from the tongue the blood comes out. When blood mixes with mucus, they get the taste of, wonderful items, So they are drinking, they are, cutting their own tongue, they are drinking own blood, they are feeling, I am so happy, So these type of people, they can't appreciate, Similarly, ustra, kharoi. Kharo means donkey. Prabhupada used to give this example, donkey, So they're so foolish. Prabhupada used to give example in earlier, the washermen, they used to clean all the clothes in the river. After cleaning, they would carry all the clothes on the back of donkey from river to the city. And they would hang one carrot or say a piece of, few pieces of grass. But donkey would consider, without, getting this carrot or grass, I can't survive. But Prabhupada says these donkeys are so foolish, they are walking on top of grass. But they are thinking, if I don't get, the carrot which is hanging on my top, I will not survive. So they are, they consider themselves very intelligent, But here Prabhupada says they are less intellectual, There is a, in Hitopadesh, there is a description comes, these donkeys, they are so ignorant, or they consider, donkeys are most, sweet people, So he says there is a description, Ustranam opi vibhaeshu, Geetam gayanti gardhava. He says once there was a marriage ceremony of oot, camels. So on the marriage ceremony, the donkeys were invited. Ustranam api vibhaeshu, Geetam gayanti gardhava. So gardhava, the donkeys, they were especially invited to sing. Now everyone knows the voice of a donkey. So Ustranam api vibhaeshu, Geetam gayanti gardhava, Parashparam prasanshati. So now donkeys are singing. And while singing, they are Parashparam prasanshati. They are praising each other. Aho rupam aho dhoni. And they are praising each other donkey. You have such a beautiful face. You are so beautiful. You look like so beautiful, and your voice is even more beautiful. So in this material world, people, they are appreciating each other. Therefore, is Prabhupada saying they are unfortunate. Prahlad Maharaj, he says, Naisham matistavat uru kramangrim sprishat anartha apagama yadartha. He was telling Prahlad Maharaj, Krishna is Urukram. Urukram or Trivikram. Means, in every steps Krishna performs some extraordinary activities. And he was telling that, Naisham matistavat urukramangrim. Still people, their mati, their intelligence is not inclining to that Krishna who performs extraordinary activities in, every steps. So you are surprised, So therefore, Brahma here is saying it is very much regrettable that, people, they do not, discuss the description of the Vaikuntha planet. So those who discuss the description of Vaikuntha planets, those who discuss about Krishna, they are extremely dear to Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Nacha tasmat manusheshu kashin me priyakrittama. No one in these three worlds dear to Krishna, those who are discussing Krishna Katha or spreading the message of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, every year, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, during Jagannath Rath Yatra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu take a break in between, pulling the chariot, and he would go to Jagannath Vallabh garden to take rest for a while. So at that time when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri, the king was Prataprudra. Prataprudra was the king of Jagannath Puri. And he wanted to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Several occasions, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refused to meet him. So he wrote a letter to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected. No, I don't want to see the face of a materialistic king like you. And then he requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates, can I have an appointment with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Mahaprabhu said, no. If you all ask me again, if you all request me again to meet this materialistic king, I will rather leave Jagannath Puri, but I will not meet him. He was so strict. So now this king, he was so desperate to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prataprudra. So then he consulted with the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they suggested you can go and meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he take rest in between Rath Yatra every year in Jagannath Vallabh garden. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was taking rest, he was tired, and this king Prataprudra, he kind of assumed in an ordinary dress. He changed his kingly attire and he went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's place. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was lying down and he started to massage Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feet. And while massaging Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feet, he was reciting a beautiful stanza from Gopi Geet. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kabivir iditam kalmashapaham shravana mangalam shrimadatam bhuvi grananti ye bhuridajana. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sleeping and he was massaging Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feet, changing his attire, and suddenly Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got up and he started to utter this word, Bhurida, Bhurida, Bhurida. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's voice was choked and he could not say any other word. The meaning of Bhurida, Bhuri means plenty in Sanskrit. So Bhurida means one who is discussing, one who is distributing Krishna Katha. He is the topmost charity giver. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tightly embraced Prataprudra. And that Prataprudra, whom Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected 3 times to meet. And simply by hearing this word, that those who are distributing Krishna Katha all over the world, they are best charity giver. Mahaprabhu embraced, and then Mahaprabhu realized, this is Prataprudra whom I rejected, simply by hearing this word. So dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, those who are describing, those who are distributing Krishna Katha all over the world, they're so dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, and specifically on that verse, why there is internal meaning also of that verse. So the gopis of Vrindavan, they were saying, Bhuvi grananti ye bhuridajana. So Bhuvi grananti, Bhuvi means Bhuvan. The whole world, whoever is distributing Krishna Katha all over the world, they are Bhurida. They are the best charity giver. Now this verse was spoken by gopis, especially Srimati Radharani, when Krishna left Mathura from Vrindavan. Now see, at that time, 5,000 years back, in Dapar Yuga, the gopis of Vrindavan, especially Srimati Radharani, she was saying that Bhuvi Granantije, whoever will spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. So who did that? Srila Prabhupada. That means Radharani is predicting about Srila Prabhupada on that verse. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was extremely pleased by hearing, this is a special song from Prataprudra, and he embraced Prataprudra. He was so happy, So therefore here in saying, Prabhupada is saying, it is extremely regrettable that people, they don't take interest in discussing the description of Vaikuntha planets. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote, he says, Jana kavya raso nahi kavya raso kali pavana goro rasa hi rasa. Tyajo gram katha sakalam bifalam bhaja godruma kanana kunja vidhum. So he wrote a beautiful bhajan, 20 verses, glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he's saying, Jada kabba raso nahi kabba raso. He's saying people in this material world, they take pleasure simply by reading. Jada means material kabya, poetry. Prabhupada, spoke in the purport, about this. So, but he is saying, Jada kabba raso nahi kabba raso. If you read the topic related to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in front of that topic, this mundane topic, novel, poetry, these are nothing, useless. And therefore he is requesting, Tyaja gramma katha sakalam bifalam bhaja godruma kanana kunja vidhum. Therefore, oh my dear brother, please reject all kinds of mundane topic. Just worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the beautiful moon in the island of Godrum Deep of Mayapur. So here exactly is saying, ku katha matigni. So mundane topic, are compared with ku katha. Ku katha means, the bad words, bad topic. And matigni, these type of bad words killing our intelligence, So if, people they becomes afraid, by simply by, listening, hearing or reading newspapers, news article, all this thing, So and nowadays, newspapers and media, news channels, they present topic in such a way, it's very scary way. Even if you hear, you will become afraid, Someone, sent me one, video recently, one reporter, lady reporter from India, she was reporting Ukraine and Russia fight. As if, fight is happening at your home. So people become scared, they will jump from their bed sheet, So if they are presenting such a scary way. So that's why he's saying this actually matigni is, killing our intelligence. So therefore hearing is very important, most important aspects. The first aspect of Navavidha Bhakti Shravanam, that is hearing. But one should hear for long time and with hard work. In Srimad Bhagavatam, this third canto, up at the second part it will come. It says those who want to hear Krishna Katha, they should have two qualifications. Shotasya pumsham suchira shramasya. So one should hear for long time, for long period. And then shramasya, shram means with great labor they should hear. Then only that hearing will give them real benefit. So one is for long time, It's not that once in a week or Sunday program or every Sunday, no. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Every day one should hear. And shramasya, shram means with great labor. Now one may say, whoever is speaking, he is doing great labor. Whoever is, listening, where is the great labor for him? The great labor is, to be attentive, to be serious, to note down all the points, to comment them. That is called, with great labor. Then the benefit will come, Just like, there is a story, Tukaram, the great devotee of Bittal. Bittal is actually Krishna. So Tukaram, he was a great devotee of Lord Bittal. And Tukaram Maharaj, he was a pure devotee, very exalted devotee of Bittal. Although he was a householder, but he was totally, 24 hours, he used to be absorbed in the thought of Bittal. And used to sing the name of Bittal. Kahava Bittala, Valava Bittala. So, and whenever he would speak, he would narrate the first times of Krishna, and he would close his eyes and he would continue for 8 hours, 10 hours. We can't continue in ISKCON like this, Then there will be no prasadam. So in one occasion, Tukaram Maharaj, he, started to speak Krishna's first time. He started to narrating Krishna's first time. And so many villagers from that place, Pandharpur, they were assembled on that class. And he started to speak, and he was kind of totally absorbed in Krishna's first time. And it was almost, he started almost in the afternoon, and it became almost late night. And when he opened his eyes, he saw everyone gone. No one was in the class except one guy. And he thought, this person definitely is very, very sincere in his spiritual life. He has so much eagerness to hear Krishna Katha. And he was very happy. Then Tukaram Maharaj says, at least one person is listening my Krishna Katha. So then he asked, my dear brother, you have so much, taste and eagerness for hearing Krishna Katha. It's almost midnight. You are still there. And then that person replied, Tukaram Maharaj, don't misunderstand me. Maharaj Tukaram, I am actually waiting here, because the blanket on which you are sitting, that blanket belongs to me. So once you get up from the class, I will take the blanket and will go to sleep. I am waiting for the blanket, So that's why, sincerity is important while hearing Krishna Katha, So, you see, Prabhupada had that taste, Once, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, he organized, Vrindavan Parikram, especially for his, household devotees. And also at that time, all the sannyasis and brahmacharis and other devotees joined from Gaudiya Math. So, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, he went to Vrindavan. He took a group of devotees to Vrindavan for Parikram. And Prabhupada at that time, he was a Grihastha, Abhay Babu. Prabhupada was also there. So all the devotees, they went, the big sannyasi disciples of Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, stalwart preachers. And when Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur was also like Tukaram Maharaj, But whenever he used to speak, he would speak for 4-5 hours. He was Singhapurush, very powerful Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur. So they, set up a pandal in Vrindavan. So all the disciples of Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, they sat down. Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, he started to speak. And when he opened his eyes, he saw everyone gone. Even his sannyasi disciples, senior disciples, everyone went to see different places, pilgrims, of Krishna's pastimes. And he saw one devotee was sitting in front of him. That was Abhay Babu, Srila Prabhupada. And Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur was so pleased. And he told, at that time Prabhupada was not initiated. He said, you have great taste for hearing. And because of this qualification, I will give you initiation. So, because of that quality of Prabhupada, he attracted Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur. It's so powerful, So here, Brahma is saying it is extremely regrettable that people in this material world, they do not discuss the description of the Vaikuntha planet, But they are engaged in, topic which are unworthy to hear, So, therefore, Prabhupada is saying, especially, if people are, at all fortunate, they become interested in going back home, back to Godhead. And they have to hear Krishna Katha. This section is so important, when, if you go previous few verses, the beautiful description of the Vaikuntha planets. So people, why they are not interested? Because if we listen to this, description of Vaikuntha planets, there is a 19th verse, one of my favorite verse, Mandara Kunda Kuruvat Palachampakarna Punnanganaga Bakulat Pulaparijat. It's saying when 4 Kumaras they went to Vaikuntha planets, they saw the environment of Vaikuntha planets. All these flowers, Mandar, Kunda, Kuravat, Lili, Parijat, all these flowers, all the full of fragrance, but they offer their obeisances to Tulsi Maharani, which doesn't have any fragrance. So they are telling him, this is the environment of Vaikuntha planet, no envy, because Tulsi Maharani was especially favored by Supreme Lord. So this type of description, if someone hears, that will change our heart. But people, unfortunately, they don't have any interest to listen all this wonderful topic. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu especially, he told Raghunath Das Goswami, he wanted to leave his home. He actually almost left home. He came to Shantipur, Advaita Acharya Thakur's place. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, you just go back, focus on your household life. And krame pai log bhava sindhukul. In due course of time, you can come back to me. So don't rush, don't show your, it's a marked vairagya. Don't show your artificial renunciation. Just go back. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, when you stay at your home, when you involve in household affairs, remember one thing. The most important instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Raghunath is a Gramma Katha na kahive, Gramma Varta na sunive. He says. So never talk anything apart from topic related to Krishna, Gramma Katha. And never listen anything which is not related to Krishna. And that's what Raghunath Das Goswami followed for next 1.5 years, almost 2 years. And therefore he could come back from the family entanglement. And finally after 2 years he became successful. He came back, he joined Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he followed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction. Don't listen all this mundane topic. Don't discuss this mundane topic. So therefore, and finally, here Brahma also says that those who, give up the topics of Vaikuntha planets and those who take to the mundane topic, they are thrown into the darkest region of ignorance. Okay, I think time is over. I'll finish here. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
Nice to see someone outside sitting here.
Hare Krishna.
Just wondering about these shloka. How relevant is that to the modern world? I mean, especially when people are working outside, living. How is it actually practically possible? Unless one is perhaps in a renounced order of life. So how can we apply this one?
This verse, hearing only topic related to Vaikuntha. So Prabhupada was at that time Grihastha. We just gave the example of Prabhupada. And he used to run a big business. He was just, in a break, he went to Vrindavan for pilgrims, And Prabhupada used to go to different cities, Lucknow, Kanpur, all these places to collect, his, Lakshmi for his business. Prabhupada was dealing with all kinds of all sort of materialistic people, No one was devotee in Prabhupada's company. He was alone, and all his stuffs, they are not devotee, But Prabhupada used to get time, he used to take time to visit, Gaudiya Math, he would make sure to invite the Vaishnavas at his home, That's why, it's important, especially when you say, unless someone is renunciate for them, it's quite easier. But those who are in household life, those who are, working outside, meeting, people, mundane people, or they have to meet them, For them, Mahaprabhu says that two things very important. And that's what's in the same question was by villagers, they call villagers of Kulin Gram. So every year they used to go to Jagannathpur to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they said, Mahaprabhu, we are always busy with family affairs, business affairs. So for us, householder like us, what is your instruction? Give that instruction, short instruction in one word. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, that sadhu sange harinam ei matra chai. So you have to do only one thing. You have to chant the holy name of the Lord in the association of devotees. Or if we divide it two things, that they should chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, or they should serve the sadhus, saintly people. So otherwise it's very difficult. As you see, it's definitely difficult. See, Prabhupada's father, Gaur Mohan De, every month without fail he used to invite Vaishnavas at his home. And he would listen from them, he would serve prasadam. And while leaving, he would beg from them, please bless my little son Abhay, so that he can become a good devotee of Radharani. So that is the only hope, the sadhu seva, the Vaishnav seva. So Vaishnav seva and chanting of the holy name of the Lord. And sometimes it's difficult, when you do your work, when you are in corporate life, your business, you have to involve in mundane topic. So apart from that, and apart from your professional time, if you spend other time in Krishna Katha, then that will be also sufficient, at least. Or if we have, well desire, then Krishna will make such an environment for you. Even if you go to the office, then people will, talk to Krishna Katha to you, Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. See, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a magistrate. We have many examples. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a magistrate. And at that time, 200 years back, in British period, to become a magistrate was not easy thing. And he was doing all kinds of job, all kinds of mundane things. But what Prabhupada Bhakti Vinod Thakur used to do, he was so brilliant, he would finish his work in a very short period of time, which would take for, even for the British people, 10 hours. For Bhakti Vinod Thakur, it would take only 5 hours. And then sometimes Britishers, they would ask Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Kedarnath Babu, how do you manage? And he says, I have to go to home, I have to worship Gauranitai, I have to write about Gauranitai, that's why Gauranitai gives me a special intelligence, so that I can finish very quickly. So of course that is on very mature platform. If we become mature in spiritual life, if we have that desire, then definitely Krishna can arrange. It's not impossible, Okay, Hare Krishna.
Just one thing, you mentioned about the Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra. During Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, he actually used to take a break in Nirvana. At that time, the Rath Yatra used to be between the Kanai Puri temple and the Gurudija National.
Yes, same.
There used to be a lot of parks and lanas.
No, that park is still there. The Jagannath Vallabh garden. They grow flowers, special flowers for Lord Jagannath. That garden belongs to Lord Jagannath still. And beside that garden is Narendra Sarovar, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sports with his friends. That is considered to be like non-different from Krishna's Jal Krida in Vrindavan, that place. So that is very cool place, peaceful place. Even today also, if you go there, it is a very peaceful, cool place. A lot of flowers and beautiful trees are still there. That is almost in between, because those days, if we see the description, Jagannath chariot, although they used to pull it, but Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, they would move by their own desire. Not like nowadays we have engine, That was by their own desire, And many times, Rath would stop in certain place, And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would push them, by his head, So that was almost in between, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would take rest there for some time. Okay, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anything else? Yes, Mataji. It's from first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and I can sing the verse. And just check in Vedaves. 177. It's Mataji 177. Yes, 177. First canto, 7th chapter, text 7. Okay. Hare. I heard from devotees that during Prabhupada's time, sometime Prabhupada used to tell devotees, read the headlines of newspaper, what is going on in current affairs. So if it is very important, if you want to know the current affairs or something, government announcement or something related to your health and other things, you can check. But see, the COVID news is You said about COVID related news, So, like, it became, you see, whatever we are doing, our development should be for Krishna. Like, last 2 years, what happened, especially first wave and second wave. Even, like, as you were saying, devotees also. Like, whenever they would get up, first thing, COVID news. How many people died? How many people got affected today, So, yes, you can check online, but first priority should be chanting, you got up early in the morning, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you go to see the deity, The first thing what we are doing, checking, what happened yesterday, how many people died, how many people recovered, how many things, what happened, So, over curiosity for anything material is not good, So, if we want to know, yes, after completing our spiritual activities, daily activities, we can definitely check for a few minutes. Or even we can ask other people also what happened today, latest update about that, But these type of news, this attractive news, when we develop attraction for them, attachment for them, then spiritual lives becomes secondary for us. So, we should not give spiritual devotional service second priority. That is the main, basically we have to balance between both. Okay? And, in Upadesh, in Ishopanishad, it says how to balance between, material and spiritual activities. In Ishopanishad, there is a formula given that one should balance between spiritual and material activities. I think text 8 and 9, something in Ishopanishad mantra. Okay? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gaur Pramanande.